What is knitting? Knitting is just rows of loops called stitches, and each stitch is connected to the stitch in the row below and to the stitch in the row above it. New stitches are always made going from right to left. So right now I have two new stitches for a third row sitting on the right hand needle, and then I have a stitch left on from the second row here on my left hand needle that's waiting to have a new stitch made above it. Notice when the stitches sit on the needles that they're tilted a little bit facing the left. Now, every time I make a new stitch, I have two choices. I can either bring my new loop from the front to the back or from the back to the front. If the yarn started behind the stitch in the row below, then I could reach into the front of that stitch and pull my new stitch through from back to front, and that would be called a knit stitch. None of the other ones here right now are knit stitches. Let me show you what the others are. My second option for making a new stitch is that if I had the yarn in front of the stitch in the row below, then I could reach from behind that stitch and pull my new stitch above it, going from front to back. And this is called a purl stitch. All of these right now are purl stitches. And of course, they're very spread out so that you can see, but if this was much, much tighter together, what you'd primarily see when you're looking at purl stitches would be these wavy horizontal lines made up of bumps. So here we'd have a bump that's sort of a bit of a frown, and then a smile bump and a frown bump and a smile bump and a frown bump. The frown bumps are the tops of the purl stitches. So here we have three purl stitches. Here would be the tops of three purl stitches. The smile shaped bumps are just connectors between the two stitches above. Here we have another smiley bump that's the connection between these two stitches that are in the row above. Now, if I was to take this and flip it over, on the other side, all I would see are knit stitches. These are all knit stitches where each stitch is made coming from the back to the front. Now, if you were to see knit stitches knit much more closely together, you wouldn't see these bumps, like here's that bump from the top of a stitch back here. You wouldn't see these connector bumps like here and here. All you would see looking at knit stitches are these sides here. And what you'd want to look at when you're trying to find your rows of stitches is you're looking for V's. So here these would sort of form a V, and here would form a V, and so forth. Now, if I wanted to make something that was all knit stitches like this, since I can only go from right to left, what I do is I knit the first row from right to left, doing knit stitches. Then I would turn it over, do the second row on the back, doing purl stitches, going this way, and purl stitches would appear like knit stitches on this side. Then I would flip it over again, and I would do knit stitches going from right to left. Here is a small swatch that I knit up normally using the same yarn, the same needles that you saw earlier. These are all purl stitches where you see all these horizontal bumps. So the frown bumps are the tops of purl stitches, and then these smile-shaped bumps are just the connection between the two stitches above. On the other side, I have all knit stitches. So when you're looking for the rows of knit stitches, you're looking for V's. So here is a column of knit stitches, here is a column of knit stitches. Another question that may come up is if stitches are always connected to the stitch below it and the stitch above it, then how do you do the first row and the last row? The first row is called a cast-on row, and there are a lot of different techniques for doing cast-ons. The last row is referred to as the bind-off, and there's all sorts of different techniques for doing bind-offs. But hopefully this was a good introduction to knitting. I hope to make more videos like this in the future. Thanks for watching.